Jaylen Brunson just finished balling out against the Detroit Pistons, and Chris and I are here to break the game down. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel and Chris, and we are here to break down Jaylen Brunson balling out of his mind against the Detroit Pistons. Chris, tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like when watching the game. Talk to me.
Well, man, as you put it, Jaylen Brunson absolutely balled out tonight in the 40 minutes that he played, which is a lot to be playing against the Pistons. He had 42 points, hit 7 threes on 7 for 12, some of the most threes hit in Knicks history when you look at it. And on top of that, we had Julius Randle putting up a show. And this was a game where it turned out the Knicks needed their two best players, and both of them performed today. Outside of that, there were not great games. RJ was all right, but the shooting was a problem. And then DiVincenzo stepped up huge, played that whole fourth quarter, which was the majority of the minutes that he played. But really, just it was a great game by their two best players, and especially Jaylen Brunson, who had 42 and 8, along with 6 rebounds. That's shooting numbers. Tremendous game right there.
And we were talking a little bit earlier, and you brought up a really good point about how this game could have been like a really bad trap game for the Knicks. Seeing how like the Detroit Pistons, they're not really one of the better teams in the league. They're super young. They're just trying to figure a lot of stuff out, rotations. The Monty Williams is trying to find out the kind of talent that he has. So yeah, I mean, it seemed like the Knicks after the first quarter, like they just started to play down to their competition. Which, if you've ever played competitive sports, you know that's a really bad thing to do. But it's kind of human nature. But yeah, man, I mean, this was a really good win for the Knicks, coming from the standpoint of like they didn't fall into the trap. They, after the first quarter, they did give up that 14-point lead. Detroit Pistons started coming back, but they started to wake up again. They started to pretty much just put their foot on their throats, and we got the W. There is something that I definitely wanted to highlight, and it's like glaring. Quentin Grimes, talk to me.
It's time. It's time that Dante DiVincenzo takes over as the starting shooting guard of the Knicks. He is clearly the best shooting guard on the team at this point. Is his defense the same as Grimes'? No, but RJ's been a tremendous defender this year. DiVincenzo is still one hell of a defender, and that shooting is getting so problematic. I think even just from a pro Grimes standpoint, you need to put the guy on the bench and just have him change his roll up. He'll get more shots on the bench. He might be able to get into some sort of a groove. Whereas DiVincenzo will fit in with this starting unit. You get him the ball when he's hot. He can play a multitude of different roles the same way that Josh Hart can, except he's more of a shooting scoring player, whereas Josh Hart's just, as Steve Kerr said, he plays the winner position. DiVincenzo does something similar, but it's more he's the best shooting guard on the team, especially when it comes to actually shooting the three. He's the best shooting wing on the team, if not the Knicks' best shooting player. He needs to start. This Knicks team cannot shoot as it is. You can't just have Grimes going in there and missing a ton of shots, even though I'm happy that he's shooting them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, from the field he was 0 of 5, and from 3 point he was 0 of 3. I get it, man, but like, it's kind of hard because like, is it just a slump, or is this something that we should be like really keeping an eye on? And you're saying to switch it up, put Dante in the
Yeah.
starting lineup. You don't want to like give it a couple more games, a few more games.
No. I think it's time. Grimes is playing so horribly, and it feels so out of character. He looks like he has zero confidence in his ability.
Yeah.
Coming off the bench isn't necessarily going to help his confidence instantly, but it gives him the opportunity to get more shots. And I'm not saying like bench Grimes, don't play him. I'm saying play him a good chunk of minutes off the bench. Like tonight, quickly played less minutes than DiVincenzo because that's just the way things were going. DiVincenzo was having a better game. Put Grimes off the bench and know that there's a chance that he'll be playing 30 minutes sometimes. But I think the way that DiVincenzo has been playing has been enough to just say, regardless of who's in front of him, this guy should be starting. If you just look blindly at their numbers, you'll see that DiVincenzo should be the starting shooting guard on the Knicks.
I mean, no, I like that idea. Grimes coming off the bench for the second unit. Emmanuel quickly is definitely the offensive firepower coming off the bench. So like it could help Grimes. He'll maybe have a little bit more touches, a little bit more shots, but Emmanuel quickly he kind of like swallows up all the amount of field goal attempts. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like Grimes, man. I just think he's in a little. I don't know if it's a little bit, but he's just in a slump right now, and I think we'll come out of it. As far as when, I can't tell you. I think we should just. I think we should keep it going. Just keep him in the starting lineup for a little bit longer. If he keeps shitting the bed, then yeah, we gotta move. We gotta change it up. But I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what Coach Tibbs decides on, obviously, because he's a coach and he's gonna have final decision. Even though some of us Knicks fans are not the biggest Tibbs fans. So the Knicks got the W, and a big reason as to why the Knicks got the W, their best player, Jaylen Brunson, dropped 42 points. So Chris, talk to me and tell me what you liked about Jaylen Brunson's 42 and the way he got it.
I mean, I think the biggest thing was every time the Knicks needed a basket, he went out there and got one. And this is nothing new. We've especially seen this since the playoffs, though it's been happening basically since like a year ago to this point, where it's evidently clear that this is a Jaylen Brunson basketball team. And the Knicks run through him now. The way that he would just, every single time the Knicks needed a basket when they had no momentum, Jaylen Brunson would do something. They went up by 12 and they lost that within minutes. They lost that 12-point lead almost instantly, but it comes off of a Brunson and one, a separate three from Jaylen Brunson. The man, every time the Knicks needed him, he showed up, and this is what he's been doing. And this is really the first guy the Knicks have had since Carmelo, where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Just give Jaylen Brunson the ball. He'll figure this out, or he'll just get a basket somehow. The man is tremendous. He's been the Knicks' best point guard in how many years? Probably since Clyde at this point, and he's only played for a little over one season with the Knicks, which is insane.
It's crazy.
But he's unreal. Like, just the steady progression that he still had. Like, he's a better player now than he was last playoffs, and it's showing.
Facts. And there was that stat that MSG put up saying the most 40-point games by a guard. He's in second place right now with 6. Walt Clyde Frazier is third place with 5. And then the first place was like some random ass guy. It was
Richie Garen, who played, I looked it up. My mom actually asked me, I was watching the game with her. She said, who's that guy? I was like, I think he played in the 50s. Yeah, he was on the Knicks for around 6 or 7 years in the early 50s, early mid 50s. So this was nearly 80 years ago that Richie Garen got drafted to the Knicks. He's still alive to this day, still cooking, 91 years old. We love it. Nice. And he was a multiple-time All-Star with the Knicks. I believe his career high in season points average was 22, which back then for the 50s is more like 30-ish now. Just a continuing All-Star. And yeah, the most 40-point games out of any Knick guard ever. Shooting guard Richie Garen, one of the greatest Knicks of all time.
I think it was 14 games. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 14.
It was. Yes.
But yeah, he was giving buckets back in the day. He was giving out buckets. I want to throw this question at you. So yeah, I know Brunson 42. Albeit it was against the Detroit Pistons. But do you think Brunson's getting the respect that he deserves as far as like being? He does get the respect as far as being one of the better point guards in the league, but I don't think his name is getting thrown in the conversation as far as a top 3, as far as a top 5 point guard. So in your opinion, talk to me about just like where you would put Brunson in that top 3, top 5. I mean, 100% he's top 10, but like I just want to pick your brain a little bit about that.
I mean, off the bat, if you're just going Eastern Conference alone, I think you're going to get around 50-50 based off people who either dislike the Knicks or just assume anyone with the Knicks cannot be that great, despite the fact that the Knicks had a pathway to the NBA Finals just 8 months ago had they beat the Miami Heat.
Facts.
But so you're going to get fans who would say that Trae Young is better than Jaylen Brunson. I vehemently disagree. I think that's ludicrous as good as Trae Young is. I think the best point guard in the Eastern Conference at this point, you have to say, is Tyrese Halliburton, the way he's been playing this season. He's averaging 26 points and 12 assists, shooting over 50% from the field and over 40% from 3. The Pacers are not that good of a team, and he's killing it. And outside of Halliburton, I guess you could maybe say Dame, but that gap is thinning. Dame he's getting older. He's still a great player, don't get me wrong, but like, outside of those two, and Dame is something that can be debatable, is there really any point guard in the Eastern Conference that contends with Jaylen Brunson? Out West, you got like Steph Curry, and if you want to call Luka a point guard, you can, and Shea, but
yeah, I mean, the only other Eastern Conference point guard that I can think of right now is Tyrese Maxi, but the thing is, this is like Maxi's first season as far as being a breakout player.
Yeah.
So, it's like, even if you want to throw Maxi in the conversation, like, he's not going to be ahead of Brunson. As far as like if we're talking about the league in totality, yeah, with SGA, Curry, who was the other Western Conference point guard you just named?
I said Luka, but that's
Luca.
debatable on if he is a point guard.
No, I
I
think,
would say he
I
is.
think, yeah. I think you could throw him in at the point guard. So, I mean, honestly, I think Brunson's top five lock. I think he's
He's
got to be a lock as
pretty
top five.
close. Yeah, I'd say he's around sixth or fifth. Obviously, the Dame thing is debatable. If you asked almost any NBA fan who doesn't watch the Knicks religiously, they would say Damian Lillard because of name value. However, as I said, Dame's getting older. That gap is thinning. And Tyrese Maxey is a great point to add. But one of those things is how you mentioned this is his first year breaking out. It's not a large sample size. And I'm not trying to
Right.
put down Tyrese Maxey because I absolutely was wrong about him on Sixers Digest one time with Casey. But essentially, he hasn't been fully game planned for yet the way that Jaylen Brunson is
Right.
fully game planned for. Like, you know what Brunson's going to do. You know how the Knicks are going to utilize Brunson. This is still very new for teams to go up against Philly and say, okay, what is Tyrese Maxey going to do? How are they going to use him as the lead guard? Every year Tyrese has been in Philly, there has been an all-star level player who's been running the point guard. Now he's running the point. He's starting. He's running an offense. This is all foreign to teams still to this day. It's not a big enough sample size. So no, I think for that reason I would not put Maxey ahead of Brunson. Maybe he'll get there. There's a good chance he does, but as of right now, I don't like the size of what we've seen so far. I think we need to see more.
I'm 100% with you. It's the scouting report. So now next season, the scouting report is going to be different for Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey has so much small of a sample size, and it's kind of the problem that Austin Reeves is having this season. Austin Reeves, like everybody's looking at him completely different, and he's struggling this season. Now that we got Detroit out of the way, the next game is actually a quick turnaround. Tomorrow we're going to be in Canada. We're going up against the Toronto Raptors. I mean, I haven't been watching Toronto games, but I've been watching like highlights here and there of them. Toronto, it's just more of the same vibe. It's just like the team that's kind of they're just trying to like tread through the season. They have talent, but it's not enough talent to get them past the first round if they make
Yeah.
it into the playoffs. So I don't know. Just give me your thoughts about tomorrow's game in Canada.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that after the Knicks just played a close game and now we're going in Canada where they're historically not good, I do think the Knicks are going to lose tomorrow. However, I do think the Knicks are better than the Raptors. And as you said, and maybe Ben can answer this for us on Raptors Digest,
Facts.
I don't see why the Raptors are not admitting to this is just not going to work and just blowing it up. Why are you playing Scotty Barnes out of position at small forward? Why is Siakam still there? I get Siakam wants to be in Canada, but you have to just decide, no, dude, sorry. We need to move on. We need to tank. That is very clearly the best option for Toronto at this point. But as of today, as of right now, I think they're a play-in team
Right.
probably when the season ends, and I think that play-in team is going to beat the Knicks tomorrow because the Knicks are just quick turnaround. You got to fly up to Canada, go through customs, all that stuff, and then you're playing a second game in 48 hours. What's that? The third in 4 nights.
Yeah.
This one's a road game. It's a recipe for a loss.
But what if I were to tell you that Drake is going to show up? Does that change anything?
That changes everything. The Knicks are going to win by 30.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into this video. Chris and I are going to wrap it up. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.